I never thought I'd be the kind of guy who'd spend hours rereading old texts, staring at pictures, and overanalyzing emoji combinations like a high school kid, but here I was. My name's Jackson Miller. I'm 36, and I work in marketing in Seattle. I'm generally calm, confident, and pretty rational. That is, until I met and lost Alyssa Hart. She was 25 when we met, full of that youthful spark that both challenged and inspired me. Alyssa was interning at the firm, bright-eyed and constantly scribbling ideas into her beat-up leather journal. She wasn't like most people her age. She didn't care for filters or follower counts. She wanted real things, deep things. The connection between us was undeniable, but neither of us acted on it at first. There was the age gap and, of course, the fact that we worked in the same building. But fate doesn't care about timing or boundaries. It happens when it wants to. And one rainy Tuesday in October, it happened. We were working late, just the two of us, stuck finishing a last-minute pitch deck. The office was silent except for the clacking of keys and the occasional sigh of frustration. I looked over and caught her staring, not at the screen, but at me. "You know," she said softly, "you're not like the others here. You actually listen." I didn't know what to say. I smiled, nodded, and went back to typing. But my heart had already sprinted a few miles. That night ended with us walking out together, sharing an umbrella, and getting drenched anyway because we were laughing too hard. From then on, our late work sessions became less about deadlines and more about us. We never said it out loud, but we were falling. Eventually, we crossed that line. We started dating in secret. No one knew. We'd go on drives to random towns, have brunch in the middle of nowhere, or sneak out to midnight jazz bars. Alyssa made me feel alive again. I hadn't felt that way in years. Not since my ex-wife and I divorced. But love isn't always enough. When her internship ended, and she got an offer from a company in New York, we were faced with reality. She wanted to go. She needed to go. I could have asked her to stay, but I didn't want to be the reason she missed out. So she left. At first, we kept in touch every day. Calls, voice notes, selfies from her new apartment. I missed her laugh the most, that contagious, slightly nasal laugh that made everyone else laugh too. But as the days went on, the communication slowed. She got busier. I got lonelier. 3 weeks passed without a word from her. Then one night I got a package at my door. Inside was a scarf, hers. Still smelled like her perfume. There was no note, just the scarf. And that's when I realized younger women, when they miss you badly, don't always say it. But they do something. I texted her immediately. "Got your package." She replied 3 hours later. "Did you like it?" I stared at that text for a long time. It was vague, deliberately vague. But beneath it, there was longing. I could feel it. She wanted me to dig deeper, to respond the way she needed without having to say it. I called her. She didn't pick up. So I did something bold. I booked a flight to New York. When I showed up at her door, her eyes widened, then filled with tears. She stood frozen for a few seconds before launching into my arms. "I didn't know if you'd come," she whispered. "You sent me your scarf," I said. That was loud enough. She laughed through her tears, pulling me inside. "I missed you," she said. And then, finally, she admitted the truth. "I couldn't bring myself to say it because I didn't want to pull you back into this." That night, we didn't talk about work or logistics or what we were going to do next. We just lay there, wrapped in each other's arms, catching up on the weeks we'd lost. Over the next few days, I started to notice more of the signs. Those subtle things younger women do when they're missing someone badly but don't want to admit it outright. She had kept the mug I used at her place in Seattle. It was sitting on her shelf. She'd been watching old videos we recorded during road trips. One was still open on her laptop when I passed by. She wore my hoodie even though it was the middle of August in New York. And she confessed she'd walked past the coffee shop we used to visit back home almost every day on Google Maps, just to feel close again. These weren't just gestures. They were silent cries of longing. People think younger women are impulsive, that they'll move on quickly, but what they often don't understand is how deeply they can feel. When they miss someone, they won't always come out and say it. Instead, they leave breadcrumbs, Little clues, hoping you'll follow them back.
And I did.
We spent a week in the city together. It was different, but it was still us. We had matured. There was more silence between us, but it was comfortable now. We didn't need to fill every space. One evening, as we sat on the fire escape eating takeout and watching the city lights, Alyssa turned to me and said, "Do you ever think about what we could be if we stopped being afraid?" I knew what she meant, and I knew she was right. So I told her, "I'll transfer to New York. The company has an office here. I'll make it work." Her eyes lit up in that familiar way. "You'd really do that?" "I already did," I said. Sent in the request before I got on the flight. She launched herself at me, spilling lo mein everywhere, and we laughed like we used to. That's when I realized something deeper. Relationships aren't just about what's said. Sometimes, the truest feelings are shown in the smallest, quietest ways. Alyssa didn't beg, didn't cry, didn't send paragraphs. She mailed me her scarf. It was simple, but it was enough. It's been a year since I moved. We now live in a small apartment in Brooklyn, and life is still messy. There are fights, there's stress, but there's also love, real love. And every now and then, I find her doing something like playing our song on her phone, or wearing that old hoodie of mine, or doodling my name in the corner of her journal like she's still 25. And I smile knowing, when she misses me, she still does those little things. So yes, 96% of younger women may not send emotional texts or call you crying when they miss you badly.
But they'll send you something.
A memory.
A sign.
A moment frozen in time. All you have to do is pay attention.